Hello and welcome to Nan Loves Food. Sorry we had a little bit of difficulty getting started here, but we are up and running now. So good to see you this evening. We've got a wonderful menu planned for you tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we are going to do is get some ground beef going. So this week's menu is we are doing chili rellenos. We are doing a ham and stuffing with apples and cranberries, and we are doing a roast chicken with potatoes and like a Greek bowl kind of situation that'll be absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorite meals. So we're gonna get started with the ground beef. If you are new around here, we buy our beef in bulk. And one of the benefits of doing that is that you get a lot of it at one time, benefits or drawbacks, depending on how you want to view such things. And to me, that is just a really good excuse to go ahead and cook a ton of ground beef at once. And in our house, we love tacos, like a lot. We love tacos. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take, I believe this is about 6 pounds of ground beef, and make it all taco meat at once. So if you have never made and frozen taco meat, this is like the greatest gift to yourself that you can possibly give. Because if you can pull out some tortillas and some already made taco meat, you've got like dinner on the table in 3.5 seconds flat. Like, it makes for such an easy meal, and it's just always great to have on hand, and it freezes beautifully. So it can just kind of always be there waiting for you as a backup plan when life happens, which, you know, it does. So I love having taco meat on hand, and it just so happens that we are out. So we're going to go ahead and make some more. I'm going to wash my hands real fast here. Now, you can certainly buy the packages of taco meat or taco seasoning from the store. Nothing wrong with that stuff. They actually add some things that some people like and some people don't like to those things. Some of them have MSG, some of them have corn flour like masa, and some of them have like flour in them. So if you've got a wheat allergy or a gluten intolerance, that sort of thing, that doesn't always fly. I bought this at Costco a while back. This is the Spice Islands Premium Taco Seasoning. I don't love this. We're going to use it up. It's not my favorite for tacos. This actually does have a little bit of masa in it, which I like. So more than likely what's going to happen is when this is gone, I will just make my own and store it in this container. So we're going to give this a generous amount of spice. One of the reasons I don't like this, my husband is very sensitive to spice, and this has chipotle in it. And chipotle can be a bit warm. So I don't think if you've got kids who are sensitive to heat, or you are sensitive to heat, or somebody in your family is, this is probably not the thing for you. So I'm just going to doctor it up a little bit with, I've got some minced garlic, a little bit of onion powder. And honestly, one of the main reasons I don't really like it, I like a really cumin forward taco. Cumin is just one of those spices that reads taco to me. And this has like barely any cumin flavor to it. So I just have to hit it with a generous amount of this. So we're going to hit that. And then I just have some high quality chili powder here. This one's not open, so we're going to get a different one. Chili powder is one of those things that I think I need every time I go to the store. And so I have like way too many of them right now. But that's okay. Chili season is upon us. We're going to make things happen. We'll be rid of all that in no time. So spice is done. And we've got our meat ready to go. So I'm just going to throw this in the slow cooker. This is the Instant Pot Gem. So this is actually a slow cooker with a searing function, which is like my favorite thing in the world. So it's going to sear the meat while we're working on the rest of the things. So we're up and running. All right, next up is our vegetable prep. Oh, before we do veggie prep, I want to show you. So when I buy a giant ham, there are 2 of us. And so a 10-pound ham is like ridiculously too much for us. So I will take it and put it in these, reasonable size servings. This is probably enough for either 2 of us if we're really hungry, or maybe leftovers for lunch one day. And I just put it in perfect portions like this. And then when it's time to have ham, when I want ham, I just grab a bag out of the freezer. So that's what I've done here. There's not going to be a ton of prep with this particular dinner, which I'm very grateful for. I love having dinners on the menu that just don't call for a lot of work from me at all. And this is one of those. So this ham is thawed, and then we're just going to make a quick glaze to put on top when it's time to cook. And for that meal, I mentioned we were going to do a cornbread stuffing. So I did a Trader Joe's haul this weekend, and I got a plethora of delicious side dishes that I'm just going to heat up with this ham so we can try them all. We probably wouldn't normally have all of these for a side, but like if we're having a ham dinner, might as well. So this one is cornbread stuffing with roast apples, dried cranberries, and savory herbs. This one is a 4-cheese scalloped potatoes. Yes, please. And then this one is a roasted cauliflower and orzo with 4 cheeses, sun-dried tomatoes, and kale topped with panko breadcrumbs. Yeah. So that'll obviously be way too much food for us for one meal. But that's okay. We like leftovers in this house. Leftovers just mean I don't have to worry about lunch. So we're going to put these in the fridge. We don't need to do anything with them this evening, but I wanted to show you what we had. So I got a little bit of yuck on my cutting board here from the beef. So we're just going to make sure we're good and rinsed. No cross-contamination in this kitchen if we can help it. So let's see. We are going to, I was going to chop some lettuce, but I actually ended up making a sandwich yesterday, and so I just chopped my lettuce then. There's probably enough in here for most of the week. If not, we'll just add more. But we do have lettuce ready to go. For the Greek bowls, I'm actually taking a bit of a cheat code on this, and I'm using my super cubes for my salad toppings or my bowl toppings. So if you're not familiar with this brand, this is not sponsored, by the way. This is meant for like freezing different like 1 cup portions of soup or stew or beans or anything that can be frozen. And then because it's silicone, you can just kind of pop them out. Well, I found when we were entertaining this summer that it was really nice to just have one dish to have all the salad toppings, especially if you're having people who like don't necessarily have the same tastes in food. My husband is very picky, so he's not going to want all the junk on his salad or bowl that I want on mine. But this is a great way to let him decide, but just bring it to the table and we've got everything in there. We could probably come up with a fancier way to do that, but I love that this is like Tupperware and I can kind of serve in it. So not the intended use, but we're going to go for it because it's working for me. All right, next we're going to chop some veggies. Here we go. I love English cucumbers. They are one of my most favorite vegetables, especially during the summer. Ooh, this one got a bit yucky on one end. Well, luckily I'm the only one who likes cucumber because that's about it that's good. So Gizmo is protecting our castle. He's barking at something. He likes to do that. So if I'm going to put a cucumber on a salad, I just kind of want to cut it into fourths because I don't want to have to, have anything too large in my salad. So we're just going to cut it into little fourths like that. But it's one of those things, having the veg prepped and ready to go means that I'm going to eat it. If it were not already prepped, it probably wouldn't happen, to be honest with you. Like, I get real lazy on weeknights. I get real tired. And I'm just not interested in, messing around with stuff like that. We are going to dice this tomato, one of the very last ones from the garden. So very sad, but garden season is over. I can hear that meat starting to do its thing behind me, so we'll have to tend to that in just a moment. I think one of the greatest advantages you can have in the kitchen is to really use your senses when you cook. I know a lot of people who just kind of don't pay attention, and that can make it really hard because you can miss out on stuff. But if you use your, ears and you use your nose, those two senses of smell can make a huge difference in being successful in the kitchen, especially if you are trying to multitask like I am. I'm always multitasking in the kitchen. So I'm just dicing these into salad-sized dices. It's okay, Gizmo. I'm just chopping veggies. He's very on edge this evening. He had a hard weekend. He banged his tail against the table, and I won't disgust you with the graphics, but I was very concerned I was going to have to take him to the puppy hospital because he was hurt, and there was a lot of blood, and it was not a good time. So he's kind of just extra upset right now. Poor guy. So we've got the tomatoes almost done. I'm going to go ahead and slice the olives as well. But like I say, when I'm doing this sort of thing, like if this part isn't done, I'm just going to let that tomato go bad on my counter. Please tell me I'm not the only one. All right. Grabbed these Claudemont olives, with jalapenos and peri peppers. I didn't notice that when I picked that up. That sounds yummy. Sounds even more like something my husband wouldn't eat. I don't know if these have pits in them or not, but we are going to find out. I really like olives. I feel like they add so much to a salad or a bowl. All right, we're going to tend to this really fast. Just get everything moved around. I love having like 6 meals almost done. Like once this protein is cooked, getting tacos on the table is no big deal. Now we're going to use this meat not for tacos this time. But I am going to release a video soon on things to do with taco meat that aren't tacos. So I'm very excited about that video coming out because there are so many things to do with like seasoned ground beef, right? It's delicious. And oh, there are pits. All right. Well, we're probably not going to do a whole bunch of these. Getting the pits out of olives is not something that I excel at. I just kind of murder them until they submit to my will. So these bowls are going to be super good. I also have an extra ingredient that you may or may not be familiar with, but is one of my favorites. I really enjoy hearts of palm, which I believe are like the inside of palm trees. I live in Indiana, so we don't have those here, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I worked at a restaurant that had like the house salad had hearts of palm on it. And that was just one of those things that really like elevated and put that salad really far and away above a lot of the other restaurants' basic salads, right? When you go to a restaurant and you order a house salad, most restaurants have similar things like tomatoes, cucumbers, cheese. Some people put eggs, but they're all pretty basic. But that hearts of palm really elevated it to the next level. And I always really enjoyed that. And it's one of those ingredients that I just don't use often enough because I don't think of it. But when I did my Trader Joe's haul this weekend, I saw some on the shelves and I'm like, that's coming home with me because I thought it would be so good on these Greek bowls. So the plan for the bowl is we are going to take potatoes and we're going to wash those here. Now, you can't really cut up potato and put it in the refrigerator for too long or it'll start to oxidize. So how I prep my potatoes is just to make sure that they're good and washed. And then day of, all I have to do is get out a small cutting board and just cube them up real fast. But if you have never had like bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs that have been roasted with some potatoes underneath, you are missing out. What happens with chicken thighs specifically, this work with drumsticks as well, but with any of those like dark meat situations, what happens is that skin renders. And because it's a fattier part of the chicken, there is just so much flavor and juice in there. And that all that goodness will come cascading off of the chicken when you roast it down onto the potatoes. And it just creates this absolutely gorgeous, incredible amount of flavor that you would just not find. Like, it really puts chicken breast to shame. I don't know where we started idolizing the chicken breast, but chicken thigh is the way to go, if you ask me. So this is a can of Hearts of Palm. Trader Joe's was kind enough to give me the pop top, which I appreciate because I can't ever find my can opener. It's one of the few things in my kitchen that seems to have several places that it could live, and who knows which place it's going to be in when you go to look for it. So this is a heart of palm. Like most things, I'm just going to advise that you chop it down the middle. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us a flat surface on which to cut here. So we're just going to cut this into half moon shapes like that. And you'll see it does kind of fall apart. It's got different layers inside. And so that will just be cut up. Now, Hearts of Palm, I think always comes in a brine, or at least the only way I've ever had it. Maybe there are other ways when it's fresh. I don't know. So it's a little tangy and a little salty, and that's just fine with me. I really like that. So this is what's going to go on the table when we go to have our Greek bowls. So we've got the cucumber, the tomato, the olives, and the Hearts of Palm, and then we've got some feta cheese. And I also picked up some tzatziki from Trader Joe's that will go on top of those bowls. So it'll be base of potatoes, a chicken thigh or two, some lettuce, and then all of this goodness with a big dollop of tzatziki sauce on top. And I got to tell you, that is like one of my absolute favorite meals. It makes me so happy. So all the hard work is done. It does take a long time to roast those chicken thighs. So active cooking time, very, very low, but it will take about 50 minutes at about 500 degrees. So that is very, very hot for a very, very long time. But don't worry, chicken thighs can handle it. They are a workhorse, and they'll render all of that goodness the longer you keep them in there. So it feels like too long, but I promise it's not. Next, we're going to wash some potatoes. So I have my handy dandy salad spinner here, which I used to chop the lettuce that we were looking at earlier. I'm just going to fill that up with water, and that's what we're going to wash the potatoes with. Actually, not only are we going to wash potatoes, but we're also going to wash our poblano peppers. Oh, and our jalapeno peppers too. So everybody in the pool, and we'll get this going. So I got 4 of these guys from the store today. These are actually going to be, we're going to give them a quick rinse, and then we're going to throw them in the air fryer. So I always wanted a gas stove in my home. And part of the reason I wanted to do that was because I always watch Bobby Flay, and he would take peppers just like these, and he would toss them right on the flame. And I always thought that was so, so cool, because it is. I mean, it's a really neat thing to just be able to do that. However, I've recently learned that if we throw the peppers in the air fryer, we're going to get the same result. So what we're trying to do is blister the skin on these. So that's basically the only prep we're going to do today, is we're going to blister the skin. We're going to put them in a plastic bag to steam a little bit. And then we're going to take that skin off and then slice them open. So chili reno is just a poblano pepper that is stuffed with goodness and then fried. I am actually going to deep fry these, I think, this week. If I get lazy, we might do the air fryer situation. But it is one of my all-time favorite Mexican dishes. And when the whole pandemic started, my favorite restaurant took them off the menu. Like, they scaled down their menu and they took these off. And so I haven't had a good chili reno in a really long time, and that makes me sad. So we're going to have them at home. So like I say, we're just going to throw these in the air fryer. I'm not too precise about these things. Probably relatively high. Let's see. One of the things I love about this toaster oven in particular is that it has buttons. Like, I just pushed the broccoli button. I don't really know what broccoli means in this context exactly, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And I'm just going to keep an eye on it and go from there. So I'm just going to give these potatoes a quick scrub, and that's the only prep we're doing for potatoes. So I'll cut those day of, but as long as they're clean and ready to go, you know, I don't really mind one very simple step of prep like that. But I find that the washing of the potatoes, like when I'm already in here and my hands are already wet and dirty, I don't mind really at all. But I don't know, there's something about doing it on a weeknight that it just doesn't, I don't get motivated to do these things on a weeknight, but like, I want them done. So that's why the meal prep is such a blessing, because it makes sure that it gets done and I get to eat the kind of food that I want to eat, because I want to eat whole food. I want to eat cucumbers and tomatoes, but I know myself well enough to know that that's probably not going to happen if I don't have it prepped. I just lose my ambition on weeknights. So these are cool jalapenos, not jalapenos. They're cool jalapenos. And I actually grew these in the garden. I was so excited to find this varietal because I personally love the flavor of jalapeno. But as previously mentioned, my husband and heat are not like super great friends. So these still, they have all that delicious jalapeno flavor without the heat that comes with it. And that is so great to me. So I actually don't have to wear gloves with these because they're not hot. They're actually pretty mild heat-wise. Gizmo, stop. He keeps hearing things outside. He's very offended by the fact that there are other people who live in the world. So this is going to be for our chili reno sauce. So once they are stuffed with cheese and this delicious ground beef we've got going, we are going to fry them, and then we are going to put them on a delicious tomato sauce. So that tomato sauce is going to consist of these jalapenos. We're just going to throw all of that in a blender. It's going to have an onion. These onions are looking a little sad. But that's okay. We're going to get to them before they are past their prime. Just take the outer layers off here. In a lot of cases, I like to save my onion skins, but because these are looking a little yucky, we're not going to do that. I want good onion skins saved when I make stock, and quite frankly, I use onions every single week, so we are never at a loss for onion skins. But they do magical things in broth if you're making homemade chicken broth. So we're just gonna cut these into big hunks to go into the blender as well. And then I just have a can of tomatoes. These are fire roasted tomatoes. If you have not purchased these before, it is amazing how much flavor a little fire roasting can add, especially to something like this, because we're going to want that kind of smoky flavor to go with our peppers, right? Like that just makes sense. So that's going to go in. And I don't measure when I do stuff like this. You can find recipes online, but I'm not going to use like a third of an onion or whatever. Like I just kind of go with what I have, which helps to eliminate a lot of waste. So we're going to give this a good stir and start breaking up some of that ground beef. And in no time flat, this will be done. And we'll have 6 meals worth of taco meat at least. I like to cook a little more than we're going to need when I'm, you know, making dinners, because I will take leftovers. She's so sassy, this air fryer. I will gladly take leftovers for lunch at work. My husband will sometimes, although he is more of a, he likes to eat out when he's at the office. All right, everybody's already happy in there. And I think I'm actually going to turn this, now that we've got some good browning on it, I'm just going to turn this to slow cook so I don't have to babysit it. I don't want it to get too brown and gross. But I do want it to keep cooking. So that will continue to cook, which will be great. We are still working on this sauce. So we need some garlic, and then I think we need some cilantro as well. We're going to grab out some cilantro. This is going to be a great use for cilantro stems. So the stem of the cilantro has a lot of flavor in it, arguably even more than the leaves themselves. So we want to make sure to get that goodness, right? Like we want to use that. So I'm just gonna, the potatoes are washed. We're gonna put those in the refrigerator and we're done with that part. My water here is kind of scuzzy. The good news is, because we're not actually gonna use the cilantro fresh, I mean, we're going to use it fresh, but we're not going to use it kind of how you would generally, you know, in its leaf form or whatever. This is last week's cilantro. I actually grabbed another bunch, but I use what I can here. This looks pretty, it's a little wilty and sad, but we're going to blend it up anyways, so it'll still have all that flavor. Cilantro is disgustingly dirty. It's one of those herbs that is just like, wow, how did you get so much flavor in such a little bit of herb? But we're going to put this in the salad spinner. Definitely make sure you're washing your herbs. That is super important because they are very close to the ground, a lot like lettuce. So they can get really gnarly. So this was another Trader Joe's purchase. This is my favorite way to buy garlic, specifically from Trader Joe's. When I buy it from Walmart, they just put it in one bag like this, but Trader Joe's does individual packages, which I am aware is a little more wasteful. But it actually keeps the garlic fresher longer, which I deeply appreciate. And then I just have to open, you know, this many garlic cloves. So we're going to use this for 2 applications. We're going to put some in our sauce back there. I'm going to take kind of the ones that are a little bit dodgier, if you will. That's perfect. And we're going to toss those into the blender with a little bit of salt. I will not be blending this on camera because we are live. So trust me when I say that I will blend that when we are done hanging out here. The other thing we're doing the garlic for is we are going to do some serious garlic magic on that chicken and potatoes. So I'm just going to mince up a bunch of this. I watched a YouTuber, she's one of the former members of the Bon Appetit situation. If you're not familiar with that, go do some reading, or don't. It's very dramaful. But Carla, who used to be on Bon Appetit, did a video recently where she was doing it's like a Chinese inspired roasted chicken dish, similar to what I'm doing for our Greek chicken. But what she did that I thought was absolutely genius is that she took a bunch of panko breadcrumbs and mixed that with garlic and fried it up and topped her chicken with the crunchy panko garlicky bits, so like breadcrumby goodness on top. And I was like, man, that sounds really, really good. But the way she was doing it didn't I don't know, she did it with like 5 spice and some other flavors that I just don't love 5 spice. That's just not my palate's friend. I think it has anise in it. Am I wrong? I think it might have anise. Let me know in the comments if you do. That might be why I'm not a fan. But I was like, I bet that would go really well with this Greek chicken situation that I wanted to do anyways. So night of, I will probably fry up a little bit of panko with a whole lot of garlic and top our Greek bowls with that as well. Total decadence. Cannot wait. All right, these are not quite where we want them. They were 300 for 10 minutes. I think I'm going to do another cycle of 300 for 10 minutes because they're just not quite there yet. So we're going to grab a container to put our garlic in. And then that will be ready to go for our garlicky Greek chicken goodness. You can also use some of the rendered chicken fat to fry your breadcrumbs. Yum. We'll probably do that because that sounds delicious. All right, we have lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes. Poblanos are going. Olives. We have our cilantro. We have our garlic, and we've washed our potatoes. So that is all of the produce. Just to let you know, I am in process of starting a blog for this channel. And so I'm actually reading from the blog post to help myself out today. So if you're interested or want to follow along or make this at home, the blog is going to give you step-by-step directions on kind of all the things that I'm doing to prep. And then it is my hope that I will remember to take pictures before we eat so I can show you what the final dishes look like over there. I also try and post at least one of them on Instagram. So if you're not following me over there, it's c.anne.tipton. So you can find me over there, and I post a lot of delicious food things because I really love food. It's not a con job. It's the real deal. I really love it. Next, we're going to make some sauce. So ham is like the easiest protein in the world because it mostly comes cooked, which is just handy dandy. I'm going to take this. So we're just going to do like a brown sugar and mustard sauce to go on top of the ham when we cook it. I will probably put this in my Hot Logic, which is one of my favorite kitchen tools. I don't think we've talked about it on these lives in the past. Oh my gosh, they are so great. Hello there. If you are watching, please say hello. I'd love to chat and hear what you're having for dinner this week. So I just have probably 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And we have some Dijon mustard, which we're not going to use much of because my husband is not a huge fan, but I am. So that will add some zing and a little heat, probably a tablespoon or so there. And then one of the things I always keep in my refrigerator is this organic lemon juice from Costco. I just like having this quantity of lemon juice because it makes it super easy, and I always know that I have it on hand. I mean, sure, I could use real lemon, but I don't know about you. Maybe it's because I am in Indiana and citrus is a little precarious here because obviously we don't grow it. It is far too cold during our winters to grow anything like citrus. So I don't know, it's just hard to get a really good, dependably ready to use citrus. Like, it just seems to never be ready when I'm ready for it. You know what I mean? So we've just mixed that all together and it is turning into a beautiful glaze. Let me give that a taste. Let's see where we're at. Brown sugar needs to dissolve a little bit. Darn, that's good. Actually could use a little bit more mustard. Don't tell my husband. So we're gonna do, excuse you. We're gonna do a little bit more mustard. Got mustard all over everything here. And that should be good to go. I would normally salt a sauce that I make like this, but honestly, you know, we're gonna put it on ham, and the ham is super salty because it's pretty processed. So we're not gonna do that. You can always add salt later, but ham, in my experience, generally doesn't need that. So I will just add a little bit of saran wrap to this dish, and we have our delicious brown sugar mustard glaze that's gonna go on top of our ham for that weeknight meal. Okay, we are getting pretty darn close. So our other sauce is in the blender. That will be done in no time. I will just turn that on. So hopefully our peppers, oh yeah, those are coming right along. I'm gonna grab a baggie here. I must be sick because we're gonna need a shake. She's very aggressive. So the best way to do this is to just add the poblano peppers to a zip top bag. I will also use these to store them in there so I get a little bit of double duty out of my bag. I do hate to be wasteful with the zip top bags, but sometimes it really is just the best tool for the job. So once those are out of there, I'm just gonna throw them in this bag. So if you can see, our skin has lifted quite a bit off of those peppers. And what throwing them in this bag is going to do is it's just going to continue to steam. And you can see, like, this is already starting to lift off. And that's exactly what we want, because we want to get that off of there. It's not that it, like, you can eat it. There's nothing wrong with the skin of the poblano. It's just kind of an unpleasant texture. So we'll go ahead and throw these in there. It is really hot. Go figure. So those are just going to get a little bit of a steam bath in there, and that skin is just going to come right on up. So we'll throw those on the stove while they do their thing, and that will get ready. And then we can go ahead and prep our chicken. And then we're pretty much done, actually. So what we're going to do, I'm going to look through the collection of spices here and see kind of where we're at. I have some oregano, parsley, and dill. I used to keep some of this. Oh, you know what? We'll use this. If you haven't used this Kinder's Buttery Burger Blend, oh my gosh, it is so stinking good. We'll add a little bit of that to our Greek chicken. I used to have this Greek seasoning blend, and it was really, really good, but I just didn't use it often enough. And I'm trying to get rid of things in my kitchen that I don't use often, like that, especially if I can just whip something together real fast. So I bought the big pack of chicken because it is significantly cheaper per pound, like significantly. And I know we're going to eat chicken thighs again. So I would much rather be in a position where I have chicken thighs on hand. So what I will do is I will just go ahead and take the chicken thighs that we are not going to use this week, toss them in a baggie, and they will go in the freezer. And then we will have chicken thighs for the next time we need chicken thighs. So generally there are 8 in a package, but it looks like today we have 7, but some of them are pretty good size. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 4 of the smaller ones in this package. And then we'll eat 3 for dinner this week. So that will just get picked up and go in the freezer. I will label that. Highly recommend that you label stuff in your freezer because you just never know with dates or with ingredients like what's in the bag. So these have a ton of extra skin on them, these chicken thighs, and I'm okay with that because like I say, we're trying to render fat from these. That's what we're doing. So I'm just going to kind of lay that out. And then we can trim it off if you want to when it's done cooking, or not, whatever you want to do. If you have not had like really good crispy chicken skin, like you don't have to batter it and fry it for it to be delicious. It is just delicious. So we're going to take these, kind of lay them out. And then when I go to cut the potatoes, I'm just going to put the potatoes underneath all of that goodness, and spread everything out as much as I can for that. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my chickeny hands before we start to season. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this in the container that we are going to cook it in. So again, I'm saving myself another dish. So it's going to kind of marinate or dry brine. And we're going to have this tomorrow, so it won't sit too long. So I'm just going to get in here with some dill and some parsley. Ooh, lots of dill apparently. And that oregano kind of gives it sort of a Greek feel. I love oregano. I'm actually out of fresh. We're in process of turning over the Click and Grow, the indoor garden situation. It's making me very sad to not have fresh herbs on hand. I've become very spoiled that way. So I'm putting way too much seasoning on the top because I'm going to flip these over and kind of work this around so we get both sides good and coated. And you're out of this one, but don't worry, I have a backup because that stuff is that good. So we're just gonna kind of let the stuff fall off and then wiggle it around on the other side and make sure we get all of the pieces good and coated with all that flavor. So I didn't add salt. I'll add that when I go to cook this, because the potatoes will need a lot of salt. Potatoes are they just drink up salt. All right, so there we have our delicious chicken thighs. That will be such a good meal tomorrow. I'm so looking forward to that. So that is done, and I think all we have left to do in this prep is to go ahead and get our, obviously I will blend the sauce when you are no longer with me, but that is ready to go. Put that in the fridge. We've got all veggies that will go as part of that. In there, we have our taco meat, which is rocking over here. It is not quite done yet, but I put that on a lower setting, so it will take a little bit more time. But because I'm not paying any attention to it, I really don't care if it's going to take a while. This blender, if you haven't seen my previous lives, is kind of cool. It actually cooks. So what I will do is add just probably a little bit of water, maybe some lemon juice. Yeah, probably a little bit of lemon juice to that blender. And then I will actually turn that to the cooking setting, and I will have it go ahead and cook my sauce for me. I don't really need to do that. Like I could certainly do that day of if I didn't have one of these fancy blenders. But that way I'll just need to warm up the sauce on the day that we have the chili rellenos. And so then all I have to do is the deep fry part, which quite frankly is kind of a lot of work for a weeknight meal. Generally, I'm not that ambitious on weeknights, but like I say, my restaurant took these off the menu, my favorite Mexican restaurant. So I've been in need of some delicious deep fried cheesy goodness, and I haven't gotten that in a long time. So we're going to do it at home. I really don't think I've had a chili relleno like maybe since 2019. It's a long time. It's one of my favorite foods. Okay, these are still really stinking hot. But the plan has worked. The skin is coming off beautifully. These are a little hot to handle. But you can just see, it's interesting. When I worked in restaurants, I had like no feeling in my fingers. And now my fingers just don't have the strength that they once did. So we're just going to peel off most of that skin. Like I say, it's not going to hurt you. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of a weird textural thing, and it's just a more enjoyable eating experience if you can get the majority of it off. So we got most of it off here. There's a little bit still on there, but it's okay. So we're just going to slit this down the middle. And day of, we will just shove the cheese and the meat inside. And then probably weave it together with some toothpicks. So we're going to do some kind of surgery on it. But I'm just going to kind of cut the seed pocket out. This little bit that holds the seeds. And that's going to get most of them out. Again, this is not like you have to get all the seeds out. It's fine. Like, it's not that serious. These are poblanos, so they're not that hot. They're warm, but they're not that hot. So I'm just going to do that with the rest of these, and then we're basically done with meal prep for the day. So we have the ham with the glaze ready to go. We're taking the assist from Trader Joe's on the stuffing and other accoutrements. Those scalloped potatoes. Really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to. Scalloped potatoes are one of those dishes that is just like such a pain to make because you have to cook the potatoes. Like if you're doing it from scratch, you have to cook the potatoes, and then you have to make your cheese sauce, and then you have to bake the potatoes again. It's just like such a pain. So I love when somebody else has done all that work for me because it's a dish I enjoy eating, but not one I enjoy making at all. It just doesn't meet the efficiency requirements for my kitchen, generally speaking. So, like I say, I'm just going to get the rest of these off, and then we'll have our chili rellenos prepped, and we'll have our fancy sauce. We probably serve a little bit of lettuce, some fresh cilantro, and then if I'm feeling fancy, I might do a crema, like a lime crema. And what I'll do there is just take some sour cream and mix it up with some lime juice, but probably lemon juice because I've got that stuff. And it will thin out that sour cream, so you can just kind of pour it over the top. Makes for a lovely presentation, especially if you have fresh herbs like cilantro to sprinkle on top. So pretty. And it tastes really good as sour cream. So we might do that if I'm feeling fancy and in the mood to like photograph my food. And then we got the taco meat goes in these. And then we've got that sauce. It'll be so good. And for the, what's the other thing we're doing? Oh, the Greek chicken. So that's like done. And we've got that lovely selection of veggies that will just make life super easy. Come mealtime, I will just grab out the super cubes with all of the goodness in there. And then we're ready to roll. So the chicken and potatoes are going to cook, like I said, at 500 degrees for 50 minutes, which seems like too long. And if like you're anything like me, the first time I did that. I was like, this doesn't feel right. I don't like this. It feels like it's too long. You don't want to overcook chicken, but chicken thighs can handle it, man. Like they can really stand up to some things. So trust me with the chicken thighs. They will be fine. They will actually be better for it because they're going to render off so much of that good fat. And it will give you so much flavor on those potatoes, and it will be delicious. And we're going to do those garlic breadcrumb situation on top of that bowl. So yeah, guys, that is it for the week. I hope you enjoyed our time together. I really appreciate you being here and showing up. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments, even if you're not with us live. Happy to answer any questions you have about cooking. I did spend about 10 years in the restaurant, probably longer than that. It's been a long time in the restaurant industry, so I have worked in professional kitchens. So I do kind of know what I'm talking about when it comes to food. Certainly not all the food, but I do know some things. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you're not already, make sure you are subscribed here at Nan Loves Food. We love easy weeknight meals. And I think for the foreseeable future, this live thing is going to be kind of part of what we do. I'm really enjoying this, both for the selfish reason of it makes me do all my meal prep. And I do hope it's providing you with good ideas for weeknight meals that can, you know, make your weeknights less stressful. Because weeknights can be stressful. It can be hard. I will go ahead and rinse these peppers when we're done, but that is kind of what we're looking for. And then we'll just stuff those with the goodness, close them back up with a toothpick, and then get them in that flour. I didn't say how we're gonna cook them, I don't think. So we'll do a flour breading, and then probably egg, or in my case, egg substitute, because I have an egg sensitivity. And from there, do another dry batter, but it'll be a combination of cornmeal and flour, like 50-50 cornmeal and flour. And then we'll just pop them in the cast iron skillet and do kind of a shallow fry situation. Or if I get brave, we might try them in the air fryer. It could happen. We'll see. So that is all for me this evening. Ooh, I'm going to burn my fingers off. It's hard to talk and cook at the same time. It's okay. I can do it. So yeah, that's all for the evening. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Stay healthy. Bye, guys.